Some women don't chase because they've already found what they were seeking inside. And that kind of woman becomes unforgettable, not because she gave him everything, but because she finally stopped giving what he had never earned. He didn't crave her when she was anxious for his presence, when her hands trembled with the need to be chosen, when her eyes searched his face for the permission to feel worthy. Numbers. In that version of her, he saw a mirror, not a muse. She reflected his own unmet needs, his own hunger, but not his reverence. In her longing, he saw only utility, a space to unload his chaos, but never to rest, a shelter for his storms, but never a sky to lift his soul. Because a woman who waits in pieces cannot yet show a man the beauty of peace. She thought love was sacrifice, so she gave and gave until her spirit wore thin like silk, unraveling in the rain. But he couldn't receive what he hadn't earned, because Maslow was right. No one can love in fullness when they're still starving in safety. He was stuck in survival, searching for control, not connection, validation, not vulnerability. A woman's love cannot mother a man out of his arrested boyhood, but still, she tried. And in doing so, she bled out pieces of her own self-worth, mistaking his inconsistency for depth, his silence for mystery, his detachment for masculine stoicism. It was trauma, dressed as tenderness, familiar, but never safe. Something changed, not loudly, but like the tide shifting beneath the moon. She stopped responding to breadcrumbs. She stopped performing for closeness. She no longer fought for fragments, because one day the ache became too holy to ignore, the silence too sacred to betray. She met herself at rock bottom and found a home. The kind of healing that doesn't scream, it whispers, it steadies the breath, it rebuilds the nervous system, it draws boundaries not from anger, but from reverence. She learned to sit with her loneliness until it stopped feeling like abandonment and started feeling like alignment. Her attachment wounds slowly transfigured from craving to curiosity, from proving to presence, and only then he began to notice, not her body, but her being. The softness he once mistook as fragility now felt like power. The silence he once found unnerving now pulled him like a magnet to something eternal. She was no longer orbiting him. She was her own sun now, and that terrified him, because he realized too late he had loved her most when she finally stopped needing his love. A woman in her peace doesn't move from scarcity. She doesn't run after the emotionally unavailable, nor compete with ghosts for someone's partial presence. She doesn't beg the storm to calm. She simply becomes the sky. Because when a woman returns to herself, she begins meeting her own needs: safety, validation, worth, esteem, not from performance, but from presence. Maslow called it self-actualization, but in her world, it's just called remembering. He wanted her back, but not because he had changed, only because she had. Her stillness unsettled him. Her peace exposed his chaos. Her clarity made his confusion visible. She no longer made space for his shadows because she had become the light. Some women aren't hard to get. They're just hard to fool, hard to lure back into cycles they've already healed from. And when she let go, she didn't close the door with rage. She didn't need revenge. She simply remembered that the woman who waits is not the woman who wins, because the woman who no longer waits isn't angry. She's simply full. Why? He craved her, only after she found her peace. Maslow World, subscribe for more feminine empowerment, human psychology.